And so, even before knowing the type of literature that is presented, be it historical, prophetic, poetic, or whatever, we must know how to draw out from what we are reading what is actually appropriate. This is the area of study known as exegesis. The prefix ek means out, and thus one is to draw out of the text what is being said. The opposite of this, then, is eisegesis. Instead of drawing out what is intended, someone may read a passage and insert his own completely subjective interpretation into the text. Without any support at all for the conclusion he makes, he will make a statement that what he presents is valid, logical, and appropriate. This is what Democrat scholars do with the United States Constitution. They call it a living document, meaning that it changes and grows within itself, and it is thus subject to their own personal interpretations. From that faulty premise, they then eisegete all kinds of ideas which destroy the original intent of those who presented us with this founding document. The Bible was given to man by God. He did it through men of God at various points within history, in various languages and in various locations. But even with these variations, there is one overarching truth that what is presented is ultimately from God. Therefore, the word will be consistent, unchanging in its overall intent, and it will steadily and unwaveringly direct the reader concerning its overall truths. Therefore, and with that in mind, we are to exegete or draw out what is being said. But there is then something which is actually even more important to be considered. It is the first, the greatest, and the most destructive failing of almost all students of the Bible. That failing is to simply know the contents of the Bible in their entirety. One of my favorite personal expressions, I used it on a person this morning, one that I say all the time, and so many of you have heard it many times, is that everyone is a specialist in the Bible, but almost no one knows the Bible. They may dogmatically argue for a particular precept from the Bible, for example, a mid-tribulation rapture, and yet they may not have even read the entire New Testament, or even the books in which the rapture verses are given. Never mind that the rapture is actually even alluded to in Old Testament typology, a part of the Bible which they probably have never even opened. For anyone to teach any part of the Bible, it is almost unthinkable to me and unconscionable at best that he would not have read first through the Bible from cover to cover many, many times. And yet, there are pastors and ministers that I know personally who have admitted to me that they have never read the Old Testament, or that they have gone through the whole Bible only once. One was an ordained minister of 34 years, and he had read the Bible once. What this means is that everything such people are teaching is based on an uncertain footing, and it has been derived solely from someone else's possibly already faulty hermeneutic. But the problem is that if they have not read their Bible, which is a vast and complicated book, many, many times, then they cannot truthfully say that what they have been taught actually matches with what God, who is consistently revealing himself through this word, is actually saying. An example of this is the heresy known as hyper-dispensationalism. This teaching incorrectly divides the overall gospel message of Jesus Christ into two gospels, one for the Jew and one for the Gentile. This occurs based on a faulty hermeneutic and an eisegesis of many verses and concepts, especially those which refer to the Old Testament and especially to the Mosaic Covenant.